Hello, 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 and welcome everyone to My Turn to Talk. Today is Tuesday, March 5th, 2026. I am Solid Blue Sister. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, y'all. So today, let's talk about rock bottom. And I'm going to say the gift of rock bottom because hitting rock bottom is not always bad. And you can hit rock bottom in many ways. Some people think that hitting rock bottom is when you lose your home, um, you lose a job, you don't have any more money, you can't pay your bills. Um, that's what rock bottom means for a lot of people. But rock bottom can also mean you've hit rock bottom in a relationship. It could be a um, romantic relationship. It could be a relationship among friends. Um, it could be a relationship among your classmates where you could be the person who is getting bullied and people at school are no longer talking to you. People are ignoring you. It could be you hit rock bottom at work, where you've done everything that you possibly could, but you still can't get promoted. You know, um, they have reasons why you're not getting promoted. You're not a team player, your attitude, you don't want to stay late, things like that. But you know that you've given your all to that particular employer. So hitting rock bottom can mean a lot of things, but also can be a turning point for you. It could mean that, you know, um, so what if, that friendship that you've had for years failed? Maybe it failed because of a betrayal. Um, Maybe it failed because of money. You know, people, you know, some people have a problem when it comes to money. You don't loan someone money, that right there can make, you lose a relationship and that relationship turns into something that's rock bottom. Good morning, Anthony. Welcome. You know, um, People are funny like that when it comes to um, when it comes to not wanting to continue a relationship over finances. But you also have to look at rock bottom another way. And I've hit rock bottom before. I've hit rock bottom before, not in a living situation or a monetary situation, but I've hit it where I've had businesses that I've started and failed, had to start over. Friendships, relationships I've had to let go of. But then you just start over. You reevaluate. You recharge. You look at things a different way. You know, Hitting rock bottom allows you to have a do over. It allows you to have a do over. And a lot of people, they don't take advantage of those do-overs. They see hitting rock bottom as being something that is uh, something that's not a good thing. Something that's not a good thing. So let's talk about let's take it point by point. So let's take, say you hit rock bottom because you lost your job. Now, ever since COVID, a lot of people have lost jobs, but a lot of people who lost their jobs, they reinvented themselves. They're the ones that started businesses in their basement, in their kitchen, in their spare room, in their garage. People reinvented themselves, and losing their job gave them an opportunity to do what they've been talking about doing for the last 10 years, but they never had the push to do it because they were afraid of stepping out of their comfort zone. Another way people hit rock bottom is medically, and that's a hard one to overcome because you can't really reinvent yourself or start over. But once you get better, you can start eating healthier, depending upon what that medical issue is, changing your lifestyle. Let's talk about relationships. Okay. Relationships are funny when you hit rock bottom. Relationships are funny because you're going to have people who are going to want to keep you down, especially if you're in that romantic relationship. Let's say the relationship ends. Some people don't want to see you move forward. Some people want to continue to see you not get over them, not being able to move past the relationship and either move on alone by yourself into something good, or if you move on with someone else. Some people can't handle that. Maybe you're the person who can't handle it. But one thing that I have found is people are not going to wait for you. People are not going to wait for you to get out of your feelings for them to move forward. So you can either stay in this rut and say, oh, I'm not with this person anymore. Woe is me. Or you can say, you know what? I had that relationship. It was a learning experience, and I'm moving on. And a lot of times people move into relationships that are better, or they take a break. Some people take a break for a couple of months. Some people take a break for a year. Some people take a break for an extended period of time. And they sit back and they reevaluate. And a lot of times those people come out better on the other side. Now, let's go back to relationships of friends. There are times, sometimes you have to clean house. Sometimes the people around you are not good for you. But sometimes those people who, sometimes those people let you go. And like I said, when I first started, sometimes, you have bullies that are in relationships or that interfere in your relationships where they talk about you. They say mean things about you. They tease you. They turn other people against you. You're sitting at the lunch table by yourself. You go out to the playground for recess and no one wants to play with you. Or you're not invited to that university party. You know, people think you have cooties. Or you're ostracized at work for whatever reason. But things will get better because there's always one person there who will say, "Hey, can I sit with you at lunch? You want to play with me? Can I join you?" There'll always be that one person. And that one person can turn it all around. But then you, while you're waiting for that, and if it comes, it may not always come, have to be able to stand alone and move forward by yourself. Life isn't easy, and it's interesting because when you're an adult, you tell young people, your children, you have it easy right now. Better take advantage of it because when you become an adult, you're going to have all these responsibilities. But when you think back on your life, children have it hard too. Children hit rock bottom because of being bullied or something that's going on at home. So we all, in some point and part of our life, hit rock bottom. But we can always turn it into something good. Because when you hit rock bottom, you're able to be resilient. You're able to build an inner strength. And this is something I truly believe. No matter how old you are, no matter how old you are, no matter how many times you hit rock bottom, you're never too old to start over. Especially if you have that inner strength, the want, the need to get up and move forward. That is something um, I truly believe. I I can't I can't stress enough I can't stress enough how much strength people have, and they don't know that they have it. And they may not know that they have it because they've been told their entire life, you're nothing. Who do you think you are? You'll never be able to do this. Or there's always someone that's going to be better than you. And that's true. There are people that are always going to be better than you. I can't sing a note. That doesn't stop me from singing. Am I going to get on stage at Carnegie Hall? No. Am I a Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson? No. Some people are better than you at other things. I mean, that's a fact. But no one has the right to put you down in a way that you actually believe that someone's better than you. Because when you start to believe that, when you do hit rock bottom, you're going to have a very hard time standing up. And when you hit rock bottom, there's no, there's no shame. There's no shame in asking for help. I mean, I grew up being an I can do it myself kid. But there were times when I couldn't do it myself and I had to ask for help. And some people see asking for help as a weakness when it's actually a strength, because you are able to ask for help. You are able to recognize that you need help. And some of us, when we hit rock bottom, and even though we have a mindset that I'm going to pick myself up and I'm going to start over, or I'm going to, reinvent myself, sometimes you need help doing it. There are some things we can do on our own, and there are some things that we cannot do on our own. But that does not mean that we cannot move forward. That does not mean that we cannot move forward. With someone's hand reaching out to help us. When you look across this country on Friendly Differences podcast, we recently did a show on homeless in America. And some people can see themselves as, welcome, Linda. You can join us over on YouTube if you like. Some people see the homeless Salad Blue Sister, My Turn to Talk on YouTube. The link is in the description or the about. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Sometimes when we hit rock bottom, we really have to evaluate where we are, who we are, who do we want to be, where do we want to be, and make it happen. Now, I was talking about homeless people. A lot of, we, like I said, we did a show on Friendly Differences about homeless people, the homeless problem in America. And, even though some people may look at homeless people and turn their nose up at them. You also have to look at it in a sense, and you have to say they're surviving. They're surviving. Because there are people who live in a home, who live in a house, and they're not surviving, they're falling apart. But you see homeless people out there who, you know, you have to look at it where there's a resilience there. There's a strength there. I'm going to survive another day. I made it another night. And they may be at rock bottom, but for them, they may not see it like that. They may live in, be happy that they live in an encampment, that's a community. You have a lot of homeless, places that are a community where they take care of each other. You have people living in homes who don't have that. So is rock bottom necessarily, not having a roof over your head? Or is rock bottom not having anyone? And Linda says, I've hit rock bottom mentally. I know the feeling, So, you know, rock bottom is a lot of things, but we can always bring ourselves and pull ourselves up. And sometimes we do have to do it alone. Sometimes we don't have that support. Sometimes we have to sit back and reevaluate and really look at what we want to do, who we want to be, and not worry whether or not we please someone else. You can hit rock bottom in school. You can go to university and you can flunk out. Maybe that university wasn't for you. Maybe you do leave, or maybe you didn't flunk out. Maybe you just couldn't, deal with that curriculum at that time. Maybe you go to a community college. Maybe you take night classes, or maybe you only enroll for one class at a time. Maybe it takes you 6 years to graduate, but you still did it. You still did it. There's just, like they say, when you hit rock bottom, there's only one way that you can go, and that's up. So you can either stay rock bottom and stay flat on your back by yourself, or you can, while you're laying prone, look up, get up, and try again. And I know for some people it's hard. I understand that. I believe me, I do. But the only other way to go when you hit rock bottom is up. And hitting rock bottom also gives you clarity. It gives you clarity on uh, the reality of your situation. You know, you have some people who um how do I want to put this? Um okay, Linda says it's when living is so tormenting that being dead is easy. The brain. Wow, Linda, wow. Wow. You know, wow. Linda, I have to sit with that for a moment because that's a whole nother show. That is a whole nother show. And I am writing that down. That is a whole nother show. Wow. Um, is when living is so tormenting that being dead is easy. Wow. I wow. I gotta wow. Uh dang, Linda. I mean I'm just sitting with this right now because I, I, that I mean I'm sorry, but that threw threw me off. And I'm gonna put this in the comments for you to give me a moment. Oh wow, Linda. Again, that is a whole nother show. Um, but like I said, if you like to come up and chat, you're more than welcome. You know, to get to the point of hitting rock bottom where you don't want to be here anymore, um, that that is that is deep. It is wow, wow. Mm, I don't know what to do with that right now. I really don't. Oh, and forgive me if you all hear outside noise. I forgot to close my window. I apologize for that. Um, but when you do hit rock bottom, it does mean that you ask for help. It does mean that you go and you say, you know, I need help. I need someone to help me get through this. I need someone to talk to. You know, even if it means calling one of those 800 numbers or wherever, and you're calling someone asking for help or just wanting to talk. You know, you know how sometimes you just call one of your friends and you're really not talking about nothing, but you're really talking about something. Sometimes that's what you need. You know, sometimes that is exactly what you need. Just to talk about nothing. because someone's actually listening to you. Even if you're on the phone and you're laughing and joking, whatever, the other person on the other line is listening. They're listening to you and they're interacting with you. And sometimes that's all people need. Um, I'm one of those people when I go to the market or something and I walk past people and, if I catch their eye, I'm like, good morning, good afternoon. Some people never get that during their entire day. Some people can go through the entire day and no one says anything to them. And I'm not saying because you're in your house and no one says anything to you because they don't see you. I'm talking about you're going out and about and no one looks at you and gives you a smile, gives you a nod. Hi, how are you? I mean, even when I'm checking out at the store, I greet the cashier and say, hi, how are you? And Linda says, just want to be noticed. Yeah, some people just want to be noticed. you know, but everyone isn't noticed. But then again, there may be people who notice you, but they don't necessarily tell you or say anything. There are some people who may notice you, but they may be afraid to speak up. But then one day they may come over to you and say, hi, how are you? How are you going to react when that happens? How are you going to react when someone notices you? Rock bottom does not have to be something negative, something bad. It could mean something positive. It could mean you're turning. um Linda says, be scared as don't want to say when you're so low with nothing. But Linda, but let's think about this for a moment. How many people are thinking the way you are? That they're scared, that they don't want to say anything. And I understand that there are some people who literally freeze up and they cannot um, say anything. And Linda says, as people don't know what to say. Yes, I understand that. I understand that some people don't know what to say. But at the same time, just saying, hi, how are you? That says a lot. And as mundane and as cliche it may sound, talking about the weather, that's a conversation starter. Sometimes if, you go to the same place every day, like, when I'm out walking my dog, depending upon which route I take. If I take one route where I go through the park, there's um, older, an older Chinese man that I see every single time if I take that particular route through the park. And he, you know, he's walking around the park making his laps, so to speak, around the park. And he, first time I saw him, he nodded to me. He said, "Good morning." And I said, "Good morning." And every time I saw him, we would speak a little bit more and we would stop and chat a little bit. And, I go off and, walking my dog. And one day I asked him, I said, "How many times do you walk around the park?" And he said, "Hello, brother. Welcome." I asked him, I said, "How many times do you walk around the park?" And he said 7. And he told me that he was 80 years old and he walks around the park 7 times and then he goes home. So, Linda, I know that everything, um, everything may not be easy and you don't know what to say, but I truly, truly hope that you are not tormented, like you said, that you're tormented so much while living that being dead is easy. And I'm going to think about your comment throughout the entire day because it literally has like stuck with me. So I'm going to put my call in number up here if you would like to call in, or if anybody would like to call in. Um, 877-777-2005, 1-877-777-2005, if anyone would like to call in. But again, when you hit rock bottom, the only place you have to go is up. And that's with anything. And again, one thing I have learned, and I have guys, I have gone through, I've had businesses that have come and gone and they have failed. Now I have one that is doing extremely well. But I've always been that type of person where, oh, that one didn't work. Let's try something else. And like I said, during COVID, when people were losing their jobs, it gave people a chance to reinvent themselves. It gave people a chance to, I'm going to write that book that I've always been putting off. Um, I'm going to uh, uh, start that business. I'm going to, it gave people a chance to reinvent themselves. And people are still doing it. But hitting rock bottom can also, give you a solid foundation. It can give you clarity on what to do, what not to do. And it can also give you the clarity to ask for help. And Linda, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There are places out there that can help you. And I understand it. I truly do. I understand that people feel alone. They feel like that there's no one there to help them, that they feel like that they have to get through things by themselves. And some people do get through things by themselves and they succeed. But there are some people who need help. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. You know, um, And like I said about homeless people, you know, people who have homes may look at them as, wow, they really hit rock bottom. But like I said, there are people who have a roof over their head and they have no one. They have nothing. While that person who was homeless, they may not have a conventional home, but they have someone who's in that tent next to them or sitting on the street next to them that has their back every single day, and they have each other's back, and they have a relationship, and they have a friendship, and they have a connection. So it all depends upon what you consider is rock bottom. You know, everyone when they hit rock bottom, um, and they bring themselves up, they're they're surviving. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all doing every single day? We're surviving because there's something that is going on with all of us that we have to survive it. Okay, Linda says you're on a hole where you feel you can't get out and you're being buried. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put this on YouTube. If you guys give me a minute here. Okay, hold on for a moment, people. Linda, I would say, and I'm asking you, do you have someone that you can talk to? I mean, is there someone that you can talk to? Is there, a place that you can go or you can talk to? And if I'm correct, is this the Linda that's over in the UK? Is this the Linda that's over in the UK? Um, okay, so yes. Okay, so I'm not sure about what services are available in the UK, but I'm going to assume that they're like they are here, where you can go in and you have phone numbers that you can call, or there are places that free places where you can go and you can talk to people. So, have you ever thought of talking to someone like that on an anonymous note? Or, I mean, even if you were to, even though I am not Catholic, I do not believe in confession. But even if you were to go to a church and, not necessarily confess, but talk to, you know, have that opportunity where you're talking to someone, where you're not necessarily face to face, but you are talking to someone. And again, guys, please forgive me. My window's open. I don't mean to have that background noise. Um, but Linda, again, the only way when you hit rock bottom, the only way that you can go is up. That's the only way. That's the only way you can go is up. Um, you have to find something that you can focus on, that you can hold on to. you have to find out what that is. Because even though you feel like you're hitting rock bottom, there's always a light somewhere. There is always a light somewhere. It's there. It is there. People, like I said, hitting rock bottom is different things to different people. Some people can, some people deal with it better than others. But I truly believe that if you have a hard time dealing with it, and I don't know, we all have our demons. Some demons are worse than others. But I do believe that if you ask for help, and even if that help is not successful, at least you tried. At least you extended that harm. I mean that at least you extended that arm to reach up and ask for someone to help you. And I'm not talking financially. I'm not saying, asking for somebody to give you money or something like this. I'm talking about emotional support. Linda says, you take tablets and drink to sleep. So I can floss over it, but it doesn't go away. Okay. And she says, I've got a man I know, but doesn't understand really. Linda, again, this is where I say to you, um, uh, this is where I say to you that you need to, again, I'm not experienced with this, but you have given me, you given me a show topic that I am going to do. And I hope YouTube doesn't, you know, uh, how YouTube does. Tumlo, welcome. Linda, I think that, you need to hopefully seek out some place where, it's a group setting where you can talk to other people who feel the way you do, because you should never have to take pills or, drink in order to go to sleep. And my brother says on YouTube, rock bottom is also very broad. It is in finances, relationships, socially, or emotionally. And yes, brother, we did cover all of that at the beginning: the finances, relationships, socially, and emotionally. We covered that. But yes, you know, um, and again, you know, um, and Linda, I'm focusing on you right now because your comments are concerning, And I truly hope that you do find someone that you can talk to. I mean, Linda, you've been around for a long time. You come in and out of my shows. And again, I invite you, if you want to, come up on the panel, you're more than welcome. If anybody, wants to call in, while we still have a little bit of time, 1-877-777-2005. You're more than welcome. Um, on YouTube, my brother says, seek help. Talking to a counselor can take you through a process and healing can start. Yes, Linda, seek help. Do not, be that person that just stays, at home and, what have you. That can, do something to your mental health. So hold on here. Hello, speaker. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Hey, brother.
How are you doing?
I am good. I am good. I am good. So,
Amazing, amazing.
so what would you like to ask? Linda says, I don't want to concern you. Not sure what that means. But brother, what do you want to add?
Oh, I would say, a lot of people have this stigma about therapy, but how do we have a stigma about therapy when we don't have a stigma about doctors when we scrape our knee? We don't have a stigma about therapies for doctors when they do surgery. Why is there a stigma on doctors who can help us think straight? So the body and the mind are amazing. And one thing about the body is if I was to cut you right now, your blood would rush that area. And if you have platelets and your white and red blood cells are acting correctly, it would scab over. And that scab is not saying that it's healing, but it protects the healing process. And so everything under that scab is being healed. The scab might come off, but doesn't mean that you're healed. And a lot of times when we go through the counseling process, it's a healing. It exposes the wound of our life because we were hurt somewhere where we don't have the mental capacity to take on certain things. And so as you expose the wound, what's going to be revealed is the medicine. So until the wound is exposed, the medicine cannot be applied. So when you seek medical therapy, those medical therapists help you expose the wound. Where was the wound? Where was the extraction point? Where were you penetrated at? Where were you hurt? And once you find out where that is, rock bottom doesn't seem like rock bottom. And now, like you said, Solid, you can start making your way up because your body will start to heal itself. Your mind will start to heal itself. Most people, they'll go to counseling. After their first session, they'll wake up and their mind is totally different. They're seeing their problems different. Now because what happens is your mind is starting to repair and think of things different ways. So I think, seeking therapy is very, very important.
But you have a lot of people who consider seeking therapy as, oh my God, I don't want, people to think that I'm crazy, but it's not like that. And as Frankie says, people are afraid to seek help, and they are.
I'll be at therapy tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, therapy is not the stigma, I'll put it like that it used to be, 20, 30 years ago. You have so many quote unquote regular people in therapy for so many different things. So, but it concerns me when someone says, and I want to get her exact words that Linda said. She said, it's when living is so tormenting that being dead is easy.
Mm.
I mean,
Well, I just want to thank you for having me up. I do got to get back to work.
Well, thank you, brother, for popping in always.
Of course, and enjoy the rest of your show.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye. So, uh, my Podbean people, I hope you guys were able to hear. I hope you guys were able to hear the call in. Um, Look at rock bottom as a gift. Look at rock bottom as a way to show you that there is a way up. Um, so again, if you are that person, um, okay, Linda says I've been hurt and losses so much. My anxiety is too much. Um, but you are surviving, Linda. You are surviving, and everyone doesn't survive. A lot of people give up, and I was about to say that whether you're that kid in school that's being bullied and nobody wants to sit with you, you know, um, during lunch or wants to play with you on the playground, there's always going to be one person who's going to come up to you. And even if they don't, you know, um, you still find a way to move on. If you lose your job, whatever, and there are jobs that I've lost, and I know it's harder and harder to find, work out here, but there's always some way that we can reinvent ourselves and we can always ask for help. And I'm not saying, like I said, I don't mean someone has to, give you money or anything like that. I'm saying they can help you emotionally. They can help you on a spiritual side if you go that route. Um, but you know, there's always somebody that you can talk to, even if it's a stranger, just for one day. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had when I travel, when I'm sitting in an airport terminal, and I'm talking to the person next to me. Everyone else is on their phones texting and everything, and I'm actually having a conversation with someone. I'm never going to see that person again. They're going to get on a plane and go away one way. I'm going to get on a plane and go another way. Or even if we're on the same plane, when we get off the plane, we're going to be going you know different different directions. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And like I said, whether you're Catholic, not Catholic, if you can go to a church and talk to a priest, not saying confession, just sit there and talk. Because sometimes all you need to do is just talk and have someone listen to you. And a lot of times that's all a lot of people want, is just for someone to listen. So, thank you everyone who joined me today. Thank you for everyone who's going to listen on the replay. Please like and subscribe. I'm over here on YouTube. Solid Blue Sister, My Turn to Talk on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. Sponsored by Smooth California Skincare, smoothca.online, how skin should be. But thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I've been away from Podbean for a while. So trying to get my audience back up before they end the lives for good, in what, 2 weeks, next week, whatever that is. But I thank you. I thank you guys for taking the time to listen. because I think that, I like to talk about things that a lot of people don't want to talk about and that are uncomfortable. So, again, just thank you. And Linda, um, feel free. In fact, let me put this in the chat here on the Podbean chat. And there you go. This is the link to today's show on YouTube. If you'd like to come back and listen and watch me, oh, you're more than welcome. But for everyone, I honestly say, rock bottom can be a good thing because the only way you can go is up. That's the only way you can go. Reinvent yourself, write another chapter in your story, talk to people, reach out, but don't stay at the bottom. Until next time, everyone, peace. Thank you.